The Esther Project, Every Woman's Guide to Living with Passion and Purpose by Tiffany M. Williams. Tiffany's story. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. A conversation with God. I'm often asked, why did you create the Esther Project? Simply put, I was inspired by a conversation with God. After the dissolution of a relationship that I thought would lead to marriage, I resorted to questioning God about the viability of my desire to be a wife and mother. Between cries of, but Lord, I'm getting old, and, but God, you promised, I heard a distinct reply, but are you ready? Without hesitation and before my conscious mind had an opportunity to negotiate, the truth in my heart spoke out and declared a resounding no. The response I received next was, well then, just get ready. My personal response to that profound exchange was to get real with myself and catalog the areas in my life that needed to transform in order to make room for another person in my life and to present myself as a whole person in a lifelong relationship. I realized that I had to be what I wanted to attract. Motivated to action, immediately I decided that I was going to take 6 months to strategically address each area of my much needed personal development. A look in the mirror. As any good look in the mirror will reveal, there were some very apparent issues that were first priority in my self-care routine or lack thereof. I acknowledge personality traits that were beginning to interfere with my ability to relate to others with vulnerability. My character, or the sum total of my habits, was being challenged and threatened. Although I frequently led, inspired, and encouraged others, I had failed to lead, inspire, and encourage the most important person. I discovered that I had forgotten myself. Somewhere in the expanse of achieving my ultimate career goal of becoming a judge, flourishing in my ministry pursuits, serving others, being a loving sister, daughter, and friend, I had neglected the foundation of my own existence, my joy. Ironically, the outgoing message on my phone voicemail encourages callers to remember that the joy of the Lord is your strength. That's from Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10. But I had lost my joy in life, and it was reflecting in my inability to step into the dreams that I had developed for my personal fulfillment. The genesis of transformation. My journey to discover my forgotten self began without fanfare and public notification. No Facebook updates, no kickoff party, just a private prayer of dedication to the Lord that I would honor my commitment to get ready. During my journey, I began with the basics of rededication to self-care, which inspired me to revisit the fundamentals of my relationship with God. As I took time to cook again and eat at home rather than to eat every meal out, I used that time to reflect on the day's interactions and the divine purpose by which those interactions impacted my life. I took more time out to allow God into my day by asking for his wisdom and guidance in my daily decision making. I began reading the biblical book of Proverbs, which revealed to me the value of wisdom, how it informed my choices and thus increased my quality of life. As a result, I noticed other people's needs and focused less on my own. I opened myself up more to some people and closed my inner circle to others, as wisdom so guided. I began to feel differently and look better. My surroundings started to look better as I began to organize my home differently and acquire essentials that I lacked in creating a home. I felt better because I had positive, encouraging, and loving people breathing life into what I thought were dead circumstances. Women of power and authority around me were praying and speaking words of encouragement over my life while demanding that I be all that God created me to be. These were friends and family members with vision and purpose who surrounded me with a safety net of trust and support and inspired me not to play small anymore, but to realize the power within me. Finally, I saw who I was, powerful beyond my own belief. The birth of the Esther Project. A few weeks into my personal journey, I had a conversation with a friend who's been like a younger sister to me. As she relayed her own personal desire to transform her present space in life and move forward towards her goals, I was drawn to personally mentor her through her progress. As we exchanged the covenant bond of mentor-mentee, she later sent me a heartfelt text message thanking me for my commitment to help her at this critical juncture. In my response, I encouraged her to think of her journey as a personal Esther project, referencing the transformative journey of Queen Esther in the Bible. No truer words were ever expressed. Simultaneously, I struggled to prepare my remarks for the Women's Empowerment Conference at my church, the Upper Room Full Gospel Church in New Jersey. As the daughter of the founders and pastors, and as an associate minister, the pressure was on to deliver a timely word to the sisters attending the conference. Not to mention that I was God's instrument delivering the message that He would want the women in attendance to hear. I prayed and asked the Lord to reveal a relevant message for the ladies, and I searched my own experiences for the testimony in my own life that I could share. Once again, He answered. I thought about my disappointment and hurt from the failed relationship that was still raw on my emotions. I pondered the personal journey that I had committed to take. And then the words of the conversation with my mentee hit me. A personal Esther project. I began to study the biblical book of Esther, drawing inspiration from the story of this young woman taken from obscurity and prepared for a public position of authority and visibility as the new queen. When I reflected on how God used her position as queen for a wholly unrelated yet transformational role of saving her fellow Jewish countrymen from genocide, I knew instantly that I had unlocked the chamber to my forgotten self. My forgotten self was a self of purpose, driven to inspire other men and women to fulfill their purpose. I realized that Esther's story was my story. In fact, it was every woman's story. The lessons and inspiration from her journey had the potential to transform every woman in their personal life journey. Needless to say, I had decided on my remarks for the conference, but I had found something greater. In my continued prayer seeking wisdom and guidance, the Esther Project, an empowerment movement encouraging women to position themselves to fulfill their purpose, was birthed. Through the journey, women are taught to declutter, master the fundamentals of self-care, live on purpose by enjoying every everyday life, expand their territory through relationship building, transform their character by becoming a cocoon in the wilderness, break forth by increasing their emotional and physical strength, and take their position as a leader that can empower others. My vision is that the Esther Project's empowerment movement would impact women globally through the development of Esther ambassadors and Esther empowerment circles throughout the world. Esther revealed. The revelation of the location and texture of the part of me that I had forgotten caused me to shout a rallying cry, which has become the mantra of every woman who has embarked on the Esther Project journey. I am Esther. Through the birthing of the Esther Project, I am fulfilling my purpose of encouraging and empowering women throughout the world. This dynamic project seeks to transform women's lives into Esther daily. My own journey yielded this ministry project, book, and a worldwide network of sisters, mothers, and daughters. More importantly, it empowered me to know that I am fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. I am assured that I have a divine destiny of joy and happiness that I'm privileged to experience right now. And yes, the joy of the Lord continues to be my strength. Prepare to take your position for your purpose and keep telling yourself, I am Esther.